Okay, let us start recording this thing. Record on the cloud. Okay, let us. Okay. Hare Krishna devotees, we continue on with our Siksha Guru. Um, Finally, we are on Siksha Guru. I thought we would be finished by now, but so many interesting points are there. Okay, let's go there. 140, Adi Leela 147. Let's read that one and then we can discuss. So many different nice points are there in it. Huh? शिक्षा गुरु के नमो ओम विष्णुपाय कृष्ण विष्णाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांता स्वामी इति नामिने नामस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी चारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पश्यदरेशधारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौरभक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंदा जय अद्वैत चंद्रा जय गौर भक्त वृंदा. So this is the continuing on with the Guru Tattva verses 134 to 58. This is text 47. Siksha Guru ke ta taha jani Krishnera Swarup Antaryami Bhakta Shrestha Eidu Roop. Siksha Guru ke, the spiritual master who instructs, ta indeed jani I know Krishnera of Krishna. Swarupa, the direct representative, Antaryami, the indwelling supersoul. Bhakta Shrestha, the best devotee, these dui two rupa forms. One should know the instructing spiritual master to be the personality of Krishna. Lord Krishna manifests himself as the supersoul and as the greatest devotee of the Lord. So it's a nice, we have been reading it, but let's read it because now we can analyze it further. Sri Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami states that the instructing spiritual master is a bona fide representative of Sri Krishna. Sri Krishna himself teaches us as the instructing spiritual master from within and without. From within, he teaches us Paramatma, our constant companion. And from without, he teaches from the Bhagavad Gita as the instructing spiritual master. There are two kinds of instructing spiritual masters. One is the liberated person fully absorbed in meditation and devotion service, and the other is he who invokes the disciple's spiritual consciousness by means of relevant instruction. This is what I want to discuss today on threadbare, these things. Thus, the instructions in the science of devotion are differentiated in terms of the objective and subjective ways of understanding. The Acharya, in the true sense of the term, who is authorized to deliver Krishna, enriches the disciple with full spiritual knowledge and thus awakens him to the activities of devotional service. When by learning from the self-realized spiritual master, one actually engages himself in the service of Lord Vishnu, functional devotional service begins. The procedures of this devotional service are known as abhideya, or actions one is duty bound to perform. Functional devotional service. Okay. Our only shelter is the Supreme Lord, and one who teaches how to approach Krishna is the functioning form of the personality of Godhead. Functioning form. There is no difference between the shelter giving Supreme Lord and the initiating and instructing spiritual masters. If one foolishly discriminates between them, he commits an offense to the discharge of devotional service. Srila Sanatana Goswami is the ideal spiritual master, for he delivers one the shelter of the lotus feet of Madan Mohan. Even though one may be unable to travel on the field of Vrindavan due to forgetfulness of his relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he can get an adequate opportunity to stay in Vrindavan and derive all spiritual benefits by the mercy of Sanatan Goswami. Shri Govindji acts exactly like the Shiksha Guru, instructing spiritual master by teaching Arjun the Bhagavad Gita. He is the original preceptor, for he gives us instructions and an opportunity to serve him. The initiating spiritual master is the personal manifestation of Srila Madan Mohan Vigraha, whereas the instructing spiritual master is a personal representative of Srila Govinda Dev Vigraha. Both of these deities are worshipped at Vrindavan. Srila Gopinath is the ultimate attraction in spiritual realization. Okay, so let's discuss it. So, what do you think, Gauranga Sundar Prabhu? What does this mean? There are two kinds of instruction master: liberated person, and the other he who invokes the disciple's spiritual consciousness by means of relevant instructions. Prabhu, Gauranga Prabhu, you there? Gauranga Sundar Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Hello, hello. Okay, till he comes back. Hare Krishna Vashish Prabhu. So this is the thing. There are two kinds of instructing spiritual master. One is a liberated person, other who invokes the disciple consciousness. So what I've been thinking, no, that I tried to go into deeper in, because the next sentence was, the instructions in the signs of devotion are differentiated in terms of the objective and subjective ways of understanding. So it felt like the way the verse was, if you can see, there are two kinds of spiritual master. This sentence finishes, then it says thus, meaning it is connecting to the previous concept, previous sentence or previous concept put there. Thus, meaning before, the instructions in the science of devotion are differentiated in terms of the objective and subjective ways of understanding. So, what I get from this is that the two kinds of instructing spiritual master, the liberated person, he is instructing in terms of objective understanding, and the 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 other one who invokes desire spiritual consciousness by relevant instructions, he is doing subjective way of understanding. See, so this is how I have put here the instructions are. The objective is the definition from Cambridge Dictionary, means not influenced by personal feelings or beliefs. Hence, it could be that it is practiced by a liberated person. And a subjective understanding means it is influenced by or based on personal beliefs or feelings rather than maybe fully based on facts. So, which is generally us, no? We have many times we instruct, maybe it's right, but it is still influenced by our own personal upbringing and whatever conditioning. So there is also on the path, there are also relevant instructions like chanting, you should do like that. But it is not coming from the liberated platform, liberated pure devotee which are here. So by dint of their following of a liberated, okay, anyway. So this distinction among the two kinds of Siksha Gurus can be better understood by examining Adi 164. So this is 147. When we go forward, 164, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is explaining the two different kinds of pure devotees. On that basis, I feel like this is maybe correct. This kind of interpretation, understanding, where it says text 64, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says, "Sai bhakta gana hai dvividha prakar, parishad gana eka sadhaka gana are." Say these Bhaktagana devotees haya are dvividha, twofold, prakara, varieties, parishat gana, factual devotees, eka, one, sadhaka gan, prospective devotees, are the other. Translation. Such pure devotees are of two types: personal associates, parishats, and neophyte devotees, sadhakas. Purport. Perfect servitors of the Lord are considered his personal associates, whereas devotees endeavoring to attain perfection are called neophytes. Okay? Perfect servitors are his personal associates, which is also like this. One is a liberated person fully absorbed in meditation and devotional service. This is from 147 we were just reading. And the other, where the devotees endeavoring to attain perfection, are called neophytes. Now, this is interesting. Srila Prabhupada translates sadhaka gana. Gana is the association of devotees or devotees. Sadhaka means prospective devotees, not devotees. They can become devotee, means pure devotee. They can become pure devotees. They're like unripe mango and mango. So they are considered devotees. So then he translates pure devotees. They are both pure devotees, but one is a prospective pure devotee from this understanding, and he will become pure devotee, which is Srila Prabhupada's concept of devotee, or the Acharya's concept. Such pure devotees are of two types: personal associates and neophyte devotees. Prospective devotees, neophyte devotees, sadhakas. They are endeavoring. So these are the two um, distinctions made later on in the same chapter. So which gives me the same, which gives more, it substantiates what this purport is talking about as far as my thinking and understanding is concerned. I'll Why don't we discuss this point? Hmm? Gauranga Sundar Prabhu, you available now? He's somewhere. Okay. Vashish Prabhu, Christoph Prabhu, Anchor Prabhu, you have anything to add in this? Comment? No one? Okay.
Hare Krishna, Babu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
It's quite evidence, self-evident. Nothing great to add. Like,
Okay. So we'll carry on then. And there are two kinds of mm, so Krishna is always appearing in two features, externally as the Acharya and internally as the Super Soul. Many, many places, Dadami. This is the 10:10 and 10:11 verses are those. So now these verses to, okay, so this is the 48th verse, no? This is Adi 48th. 48th and 49th. These are all, these are about how we can read through the translation. Oh my Lord, transcendental poets and experts in spiritual science could not fully express their indebtedness to you, even if they were endowed with the prolonged lifetime of Brahma, for you appear in two features, externally as the Acharya and internally as the Super Soul, to deliver the embodied living being by directing him how to come to you. So this is the 48th verse, this one. Mhm. This verse from Srimad Bhagavatam 11:29-6, spoken by Sri Uddhava after he heard from Sri Krishna all necessary instructions about yoga. And 49th is the famous Tesham Satata Yuktanam, to those who constantly devoted to serving me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. Purport: this verse of Bhagavad Gita clearly states how Govinda Dev instructs his bona fide devotee. The Lord declares that by enlightenment in theistic knowledge, he awards attachment for him to those who constantly engage in his transcendental loving service. This awakening of divine consciousness enthralls a devotee who thus relishes his eternal transcendental mellow. Such an awakening is awarded only to those convinced by devotion service about the transcendental nature of the personality of Godhead. They know that the supreme truth, the all spiritual and all powerful person, is one without a second and is fully transcendental senses. He is the fountainhead of all emanations. Such pure devotees, always merged in knowledge of Krishna and absorbed in Krishna consciousness, exchange thoughts and realizations. I love this. As great scientists exchange their views and discuss the results of their research in scientific academies. Such exchanges of thoughts in regard to Krishna give pleasure to the Lord, who therefore favors such devotees with all enlightenment. This is beautiful, no? And then the 50th is Yatha Brahmane Bhagwan Swayam Upadishyanubhavitva Bhavitavan Anubhavitavan. Okay. Cause to perceive. The Supreme Person Godhead Swayam Bhagwan taught Brahma and made him self-realized. Continuing on, that he is the original instructing spiritual master, which, as we have understood, it is the Diksha Guru also, generally speaking. The English maxim that God helps those who help themselves is also applicable in the transcendental realm. There are many instances in revealed scriptures of the personality of Godhead acting as the spiritual master from within. He was the spiritual master who instructed Brahma, the original living being, in the cosmic creation. When Brahma was first created, he could not apply his creative energy to arrange the cosmic situation. At first, there was only sound vibrating the word tapa, which indicates the acceptance of hardships for spiritual realization. Refraining from sensual enjoyment, one should voluntarily accept all sorts of difficulty for spiritual realization. This is called tapasya. An enjoyer of the senses can never realize God, godliness, or the science of theistic knowledge. Thus, when Brahma, initiated by Sri Krishna by the sound vibration tapa, engaged himself in acts of austerity by the pleasure of Vishnu, he was able to visualize the transcendental world, Sri Vaikuntha, through transcendental realization. Modern science can communicate using material discoveries such as radio, television, and computers. But the science invoked by the austerities of Sri Brahma, the original father of mankind, was still more subtle. In time, material scientists may also know how we can communicate with the Vaikuntha world. Wow, I didn't know that. Lord Brahma inquired about the potency of the Supreme Lord, and the personality of Godhead answered his inquiry in the following 6 consecutive statements. These instructions, which are reproduced in Srimad Bhagavatam 2 9 31 to 36, were imparted by the personality of Godhead acting as the Supreme Spiritual Master. This is the Chatur Shloka. I mean, there are 4 main shlokas. I don't know why they are called Chatur Shloka then, if there are 6. I think there are 4 main shlokas and we can read them. So, any discussion till now here? Anyone? Yes, Prabhu? Yes, Prabhu?
Yeah, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
In the beginning, that I forgot which verse number about there are two types of
47.
what's that? Few devotees, I think. No, I
Oh, that
said
is
few devotees.
164. That is
One is
160. Parishat
asti, yeah,
Sadhaka. That is
yeah.
164 here.
I think many people misinterpret this. They don't have proper understanding of this song about pure devotees. So just a minute, Prabhu, just a minute. Yes, so I'm sorry. What I was saying about the two types of pure devotees. One is a Parishad eternal Nityasiddha and Sadhaka. But when it comes to present day situation, when we try to talk about pure devotees, it's very difficult for some people to come to make them understand what the sadhakas also, if they are trying to follow Prabhupada's teaching sincerely, as strictly as possible, they also can be considered as pure devotees. But some people think only the self-proclaimed, self-appointed Diksha gurus, or only the pure devotees, like who have with their history, who has a proven track record, kind of. They have done lots of service for 50 years and have done great preaching services. Only they uh they are labeled as pure devotees.
Mhm.
So this is something that
So, could
this
you
is very
explain that little?
misinterpreted.
Could you, and so yeah, of course, this is the thing that the pure devotees, meaning sadhakas also are pure devotee, then they are on the same level as the eternal pure devotee. It's like that is
No,
why.
they can't be. They can't. Sorry, they can't be on the same level. They can be colder, but they can't be on the same level.
But that is what they in that's why I call it Maya ISKCON, because this is the Maya in the mind that the
So,
treatment no of the
yeah,
devotee of their elders is being like this is the illusion that this is being missed.
yes.
These two things, they're mixing these two, and then hence the roles are being mixed up. That's the illusion, illusory power of and the Lord is so powerful, no? That
Mhm.
in the even though theoretically everyone is reading this,
Yeah.
everybody reads
No,
this.
but you know what, Prabhu? Sorry to interrupt, but the thing is, many people they don't read actually Prabhupada's books. I
Sure.
can personally, yeah, there I have many mainstream friends. I can guarantee you that they don't read this carefully or along with friends or along with other devotee friends. They don't study it carefully. They may be reading few things, whatever they will prepare for their class for their lecture, but they don't really scrutinize. They don't really study carefully all these things.
Mm-hmm.
They don't.
No, that is true. I mean, like this is the Vedic system also the same, no? That only Brahmanas were normally reading the scriptures. The other classes were learning from the Brahmanas. Of course, the good Kshatriya, the Rajarshis, they, I mean, they're always different categories, no? But the king, the Rajarshi king, would also go through the same training just like a Brahmana would, except that they would come out and marry and start to deal with the public and material things more, and the Brahmanas would continue their studies more and take vows of poverty. So otherwise, they're but other than that, the Vaishyas and most of the other Kshatriyas also, there are many categories in Kshatriyas. Many kinds of Kshatriyas are there. So the Rajarshis would be reading, but the other Kshatriyas, the normal soldiers, workers in the soldiers, they are part like kind of Kshatriyas. There are many kinds of subcategories. They don't read, no, they can't read. They don't have the intelligence and the like that absorbing power and seeing through the eyes of the scripture power to really see it. And that is why the leaders are required, like real leaders who absorb it within one. Like this is the Chaturvanyam Maya system. Krishna has created it like that, no? So it's not for me when you say that it is not surprising. It may be not what ideal, but it is not surprising that this is how it is. Of course, we all like spiritualists, Vaishnavas are supposed to be different. When one is in the modes, yes, this is what I was saying, this is how Krishna is created. Krishna is saying that. But the ideal, what Srila Prabhupada wants, it all Vaishnavas should hear from Acharya and through the other devotees also passed on like as a representative of the Acharya, so that they at least have the basic understanding of concepts. Like Jayananda, I remember, like devotees tell me he wouldn't read so much, and but he had full concept everything. And I remember one devotee told me that Vishnujan Swami, I don't know how many of you know that in 1970, when Srila Prabhupada he ostracized four sannyasis, that Brahmananda, Garga Muni, Vishnujan Maharaj also was in that. Vishnujan, but of course, he was such a great devotee, and he was, always chanting, preaching, and he made like hundreds and thousands of devotees. He still does with his chanting. But he later on told, and devotees were saying that he was mentioning Vishnujan Maharaj, that he fell down from the concept, and why Srila Prabhupada had to chastise him, because he didn't read properly. He didn't understand the philosophy properly, what Srila Prabhupada was speaking. So then he really dedicated himself to understand. So my point is that initially he was not reading, like, but devotees, when they get a shock, then they start also reading, like more and more. They that Krishna in the heart, he's like, he's saying Bhagavad Gita is the instructing guru. He prompts them and gives them the capacity to start reading. One, as devotees, we need to read and hear from Srila Prabhupada. That is final. That has the truth. But as a generally, the as a normal capacity, when we don't put devotee in it, then it is the truth that most devotees don't have that, and most people don't have the capacity to read and understand philosophy. Sorry, it was a little too winded, but I had to bring in any different things which has been going on. Balaram Prabhu, what do you think? Why is it that devotees, even though we all hear from Srila Prabhupada so much that we should read, 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 what is the thing which blocks devotees from reading and understanding the philosophy?
Hare Krishna, Daivi. First point, I think we should understand there's no such thing as read so much. There's no limit to how much more we can read. And it's
Yeah.
not just about reading. You see, we may read a lot, supposedly read a lot, hear a lot, but it's, the formula is, as I see it, you read or you hear and then you serve. And especially with that service, then you get revelation, let's say, inner revelation or whatever makes up and gradually. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah. Hare Krishna.
Okay. I got frozen there.
Mhm.
Or it looked like it got frozen. Yeah. So with hearing instruction or hearing from Srila Prabhupada, pure devotee, that has to lead into devotional service. And then with that devotional service, it's combination of both where you then get, let's say, inner realization, which kind of strengthens your faith, gives you realization to understand Krishna and Prabhupada more. So it's a combination of, from what I see, more of both hearing and serve. If you just hear and kind of don't, it doesn't manifest to push you to serve, you got to know something's missing. So then, and with that service, of course, everywhere on every page, Prabhupada is writing and Krishna is saying that I reveal, I reveal, I reveal, I reveal. So, of course, as that happens, naturally, it doesn't need to be pushed to anything. Naturally, of course, you want to hear more. You want to read more. If you have a reading mentality capacity, you want to read more. But if you, I don't know if I can be right, say, if you don't have a reading mentality, you will definitely still be inspired to want to hear so much more. You'll be, I want to hear, you hear the instructions of Prabhupada, or hear Bhagavatam, or hear the pastimes, name, form, and pastimes of the Lord. So the question was, sorry, Prabhu, can you say that again?
Why do people, like Vashish Prabhu was making the point that why people sometimes mess up in the philosophy is because the general devotees are not reading, even though it is written black and white. Like
Mm.
the verse was this. Uh, this one. Oh, let's see.
Yeah, sorry, I just joined. Forgive
No.
me for being late.
Yeah.
So,
So this was the word. This we were reading this. Such pure devotees are of two types: personal associates and neophyte devotees. It's 164 Adi Leela. Hmm? It's written directly here. And they're also in the 147, it says, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is saying that there are I mean, there are two kinds of, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is saying, of course, there are instructing spiritual masters, and Srila Prabhupada in the purport is saying there are two kinds of instructing spiritual masters. One is the liberated person, fully absorbed in meditation, devotional service, and the other is he who invokes the disciples' spiritual consciousness by means of relevant instructions.
Yes.
So there are two, and then the other verse makes it doubly sure that there are two kinds of devotees, pure devotees. So it's crystal clear, no, that a pure devotee is spiritual master, and then a liberated pure devotee is spiritual master, and a non-liberated, in a sense, spiritual master, instructing spiritual master. It's clear. But
Yeah, I think we do have to add to this that, you know, I have so many people in my life from beginning of Krishna consciousness that have been instructing me, guiding me, helping make me clear, you and everybody here also. So there's a vast difference between all of them. Not a vast difference, but there's a difference between all of them. And there's also a vast difference between one who can put into this category of instructing spiritual master and Diksha, the one who gives Diksha. There's still a huge spectrum of difference between that kind of Siksha Guru that we take almost as the same as Diksha or on the same or as good as or whatever, and then right down to your temple president or devotee associate or the book distributor that meets you on the street. And this spectrum has to be understood also, that it's there. It's not like, okay, devotee who met me on the street and convinced me to take a book, he's my Siksha Guru, and Rupa Goswami's Bhaktisiddhanta Bhaktivinoda Thakur, they're my Siksha Gurus and they're on the same level. On Nimai Pandit Prabhu, even for me, as my Siksha Guru is similar to somebody who just gave me a book on the street for 20 minutes. That spectrum it's a big spectrum and it's all personal. So, but your question before that was something different, right? Your question
yes, the
before
question was
why we
why
don't
is
read.
one not, why is one conflating in spite of what Vashish Prabhu was saying is, in spite of these clear instructions differentiating between two kinds of gurus, why is it that devotees still conflate these two types of gurus? So
I mean,
saying,
ultimately,
saying that because they don't read. One of the reasons was because they don't read enough.
yeah, exactly. Good point. One of the reasons. It's not the only one because this is a multifaceted situation that we have. Someone may not read, as you gave some nice example of was it Dhananjay? No,
I mean, Vishnu Jan Maharaj mainly.
Vishnu Jain and Rath Yatra
Yeah,
example.
Jayananda Prabhu also.
Jayananda Prabhu. And there are many more, right? And we have the example of the Brahmana's wives in the Leela. The seemingly they don't read. But, it doesn't mean if you don't read, you may not be advanced or you may not understand the principles, right? As Nimai Prabhu already told us a couple of weeks ago that in the early stages of Krishna consciousness, there was nothing to read. But somehow they were so attached to Prabhupada, just Prabhupada, and loved Prabhupada so much that there was there is a lot of inner stuff going on where Krishna and Prabhupada reciprocate them with them inside and giving them that complete total faith that no matter where they go, they can preach, they'll be successful. They had that faith, and that faith came from their staunch or total or complete or only faith in Srila Prabhupada. So there are lots of factors that come into why we deviate at some point in our Krishna conscious life. One of them is not reading, but kind of, yeah. Personally, I would say it's not just about reading, or it's about reading and hearing, and then you got to move into service because the whole point of all this philosophy is to reawaken your original love for Krishna. And then when that love is awakened, it's not awakened if there's no service. It's a lie. Like any relationship you may have, you'll say to someone, the partner will say to the other one, do you love me? Yeah, well, make breakfast for me. No, I don't want to make breakfast for you. Then there's no love, there's no action, then there's no love. So, and with that action, even if someone's not reading, it's not Krishna and Prabhupada sitting there saying, yeah, okay, I get it. You're cleaning the temple for me, you're distributing books for me, or you're doing this for me, doing this. But I don't accept any of that because you're not reading. That the purpose of reading is to come to serve. So if you're already serving, Krishna and Prabhupada are going to reciprocate with that on all various different levels. And generally, we're in the conditioned state, so they'll try to inspire us to hear more, and then you can serve more. And with that serving, you get purified, you get more realization, then you want to hear more. And as you hear more, you want to serve more. So there's this cycle of hearing, serving somehow, just continuously inspiring you to surrender more and do more. So many factors, one of them is one of the main ones is devotee association, right? Devotee association also has a big impact on are you inspired to read or not read? Do you fall into Maya? Do you wake up early? Do you chant all your 16 rounds? Which all then impact your desire and your enthusiasm to read, which then impacts your desire to serve. So it's a combination of many things all intertwined, and this is why I guess our parampara has given us nine processes of devotional service, and they have organized a wonderful subtle program by which we kind of don't even know what's going on, but there's some deep spiritual stuff going on that we don't know. You know, we're waking up early, we're going to Mangaladi, we see the deities, we see the worship of the deities going on, we pray to Nrsingadev, we pray to Tulsi, we chant our rounds, we go to Bhagavata, and all that package, we don't know, but Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami have so expertly put it together in such a way that we're getting like the maximum, if we follow the program nicely, sincerely, humbly, we get in the full program of every single inch and corner of what we can get, you know. So very, very important to kind of follow the program as given by Srila Prabhupada.
Just want to add one thing. I remember having a discussion with one devotee. He was always reading. So I was making this point that no, you have to serve after reading. And he says, what is this? There are 9 processes of devotion. The first, hearing is also service, no? So I'm hearing.
Sure. He's right.
So now Gauranga Sundar Prabhu is making the point why one doesn't read. He says laziness. He says because reading means applying the intellect. It's hard work for many. Now, one can look at it in 2 ways. One can, you know, this is that verse in 14th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. And Gauranga Sundar Prabhu, please feel free to comment on it. One can look at it as these people, they don't apply the intellect. I don't think Gauranga Sundar Prabhu is saying like that. I'm just saying that generally thinking, no, many leaders, they think like that. That these people, they don't apply the intellect. They should do that. And one can feel, you know, Chaturvanyam Maya Srisram Krishna created the body mind setup in this life for them like that. Let me help get the essence out and explain. Let me engage them in some service, like you are saying, in the bona fide service of Srila Prabhupada coming in the parampara, so that they will please Srila Prabhupada very fast, so that Tesham Satata Yuktana will happen, Yasya Prasadat. Bhagavad Prasadat will happen, by which the knowledge will be revealed in the heart. Even though they don't have that intellectual capacity to absorb, Krishna will help from inside. So let me help their facility. And this is I've seen that so much in mainstream ISKCON, and sometimes even in our association also. There is this verse in Bhagavad Gita. Let me read that. Let me read that 14th chapter. Which one is this? Let's bring this up.
Yeah, Babu. So why did I say this is because intelligence, knowledge is the food for intelligence. It
Knowledge,
helps you, is the
understand
food for intelligence,
knowledge is the food for.
the
Okay,
intelligence.
correct, correct. Okay.
It can control the mind if intelligence is strong. Otherwise, the mind will overpower the intelligence.
Yes,
So
yes.
knowledge is required because we can start the process, but then there are times where we come in doubt. Why to do it? We are losing the taste. So many things. When we do the process 2, 3, 4 years, then the knowledge, that is the background. It helps us. To cut the arguments of the mind, why we have to chant, why we have to do this, why we have to go to Mangalarti, why we have to do Seva. So this knowledge, this backing is required very much for the mind because see, if you go become spontaneous, no problem. You can start chanting and become spontaneous, then most 90% people don't go to spontaneous. They lose taste. Chanting become mechanical. So many things happen, over the period. So how to carry forward them? If you don't have knowledge, why to do it? And strong conviction in that, and that comes from reading, hearing, that comes from that only. Sentimentally, it can't come. Sentimentally, you can go for 2, 3, 4 years. After that, you need backing, solid backing. And that is the reason why Prabhupada gave so many books. Prabhupada gave some because initially people were chanting everything. Prabhupada was seen them, oh, they are nicely progressing. So why have to take struggle so much for write books, But he still wrote because he knew that later they will require these books only to carry forward. Because right now I am there, people they are around me, and they can very nicely go around me, spiritually. Once I am not there, then what will carry them forward? The knowledge, why to do it? Tattva Gyan. Tattva Gyan, that will carry them forward in their spiritual life, and that is very important. And many people, it's good, they're nice chanting and everything, but when it comes to reading, a lot of patience is required to understand it, to deeply apply it, everything. And they think, क्या फर्क इतना time क्या खाली chanting कर लो ना. Let's do chanting, let's do the easy things. But then they don't realize that a lot of weeds are also coming as they're chanting. And if they don't have small intellect, then those weeds, they will not be able to identify them and not be able to cut them to the intellect. Because many times you may not have good association to point to you that, oh, you have these weeds. Sometimes you have to identify yourself. And for that also you require a lot of knowledge. Oh, these are weeds or these are, Bhakti Lata Bij. Differentiate, discrimination. There also where the intellect comes into play. Oh, this is, I have to cut this. So that is the reason why we have to read so much so that, I myself, you have seen, my bhakti started by reading, 11 hours, So even though I may have so many fall downs, but still I come back, because that foundation, that, conviction to why to perform bhakti is there by Prabhupada's books. So that has been instilled in my heart. Had I been sentimental, I would have also left, let's, go enjoy. But the very fact that I come back, conviction is there, determination is there, is because of the knowledge which I acquired before I joined ISKCON. Before, for 1.5 years, I was just reading Prabhupada books and trying to get the knowledge, everything. So that is still there. Those that, foundation is there, and that helps me whatever obstacle comes, whatever I meet, roadblocks and all, so it helps me to pass over it. That determination, conviction. Why I have to perform bhakti? Why I have to go back home, back to Godhead? Why I'm wasting my life here? All these questions, answers are there in Prabhupada's books. And the more you read, the more convinced you become of that. And then you see, material world. Oh yes, we can experience all these problems here. Why to be here? So all this conviction is required, and that conviction becomes strong by knowledge. That's why knowledge is the food for the intelligence. It makes your intelligence sharp. It makes your intelligence to discriminate between right and wrong. And then with sharp intelligence, you can always cut the tendencies of the mind to go in Maya. You can cut it anytime you want, and that is the reason why I told this.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really hard, people, because people want to have the easy way. So 3 4 ghanta, who will sit and read? Let's just do. And if you see, people who are reading more, and they are the people who can carry on also. Whose faith is based on books and knowledge. They are the one who a long लंबे रेस का घोड़ा बोलते हैं इसको, long they are going in this bhakti. Otherwise, most of the people who are just on the sentimental platform, they just fizzle out after some time. This is what is my understanding.
Mhm. No, this is good. Now, question is that why do people don't read? Some people could be, as you're saying, lazy, everything. But it is easy to, I mean, because Krishna himself has made it like that, no? The world. Chaturvanyam Maya system. Maya system. I made it. The intellectual class is there. He made it. It is for them, it is very easy. You see? So what happens is other people, no, who are not on that intellectual, he is not given that brain power. He has made it like that. In this particular life, in this body, like one life, some we may have, I may be Shudra, I may be animal.
True, true, you have true. I am not a Brahmana. I am from business class. I'm not supposed to read.
That is not by
But
birth.
when you perform,
No, no,
but
no.
when you perform devotional service, a devotee, Krishna says, "I carry what you lack." So he gives you the power, he gives you the ability and the understand the intelligence to even understand, absorb the books also. So then
Where does it
to
say absorb the books? No, 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 no. Where does
hmm?
it say? 10, 10 is not 10, 10 and 10, 11 is not saying you will absorb I give the understanding from from the heart. It doesn't
Yeah,
say you give the capacity to understand the books. He's not saying that,
no,
Prabhu.
from me comes intelligence,
Yeah, from the heart,
forgetfulness. So
intelligence
so
will
it,
come.
it comes now, so you can understand the books also with the
No,
intelligence.
that is okay. So see, what happens is
With
then
the intelligence, I don't have the intelligence as a Vaishya to understand the books, but Krishna says, I give you the intelligence.
no.
And with the intelligence, I can understand the books also.
See, Prabhu, you are not a Vaishya, no? You are born in a family of a Vaishya. That is
Yeah, but by my background, I am a Vaishya. I'm not a Brahmana. Yeah.
Chaturvanyam Shishtam Guna Karma Vibhagasha. Guna Karma, no?
Guna karma. Yeah, I mean, how did the Guna karma develop? Not by, I was not a
Past lives.
intellectual.
Past lives, no?
Uh, I mean, I never read in my schools, so it should have, reflected in my studies also.
No, no.
You know,
That's
it
all.
just came with Prabhupada's books coming in my life and inquisitive, and it started reading.
Prabhu,
So,
that
and Krishna was giving intelligence to read more and more and more.
one
But
can't have
before that, I was into business and everything.
one can't have the capacity to read unless Krishna, I mean, that capacity is there already. No? Prabhu, yes, Bhakshish Prabhu and Balram Prabhu, one by one. You want to say? Yeah, Bhakshish Prabhu. Vashish Prabhu?
Yeah, let Balaram Prabhu speak. Yeah,
Okay.
Prabhu. Let Balaram Prabhu speak first, then I can
Yeah.
add.
I just wanted to clarify, make sure I understand what you're saying. You're saying in this Chaturvarnam system that you're saying that I did it, I created it, Krishna is saying it. I've understood until now is that he has organized the categories.
Yeah.
And then according to each person's conditioned state of consciousness, you are put into a particular one. You fit, so you do it actually yourself. By the consciousness you have, you're either born into a Sudra mentality, Vaishya mentality, Brahmana mentality, like that. So it's not that it's organized by Krishna, but it's not the consciousness is not given by Krishna. That's what we cultivate over the year, right?
Not consciousness, but this is not consciousness we are talking about. This is coming of brain power. No?
That is conscious.
No, no. Brain power is a material body, no?
So is consciousness.
Yeah.
Consciousness is part of the soul, no, bro? That
No,
is
no,
why
we're
that is
not
why
talking about
Krishna,
that, of course.
that is why Krishna, when he says Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam, he's talking on the soul level.
No,
He's
no,
not
no.
talking on the intellectual level. No?
Okay. What
See,
I understood so far is that all of this knowledge now that we're dealing with is we're not dealing with the pure soul and the pure consciousness of the pure soul. We're talking about conditioned state and conditioned state of consciousness. That's why you have to follow Varnashram and the gradual evolution, or better, purification or removal of material consciousness to expose the original pure consciousness. So all the process that has been given to us by all the acharyas is actually dealing with conditioned state of consciousness, purifying that to because the original pure state of consciousness is already there. It's not touched. It's already there. Just we're in a state of being covered because of our desire to enjoy separately from Krishna, right?
See,
Gauranga
bro,
Sundar,
what we were saying was Varnashram, yes, Varnashram is not there. Till Varnashram is not established. I mean, if Varnashram is there, Devi Varnashram, then that is a perfect, place where, everyone can, Brahmana can lead, the Vaishyas and the Kshatriyas can, can follow and, they can progress. But currently, there is no Varnashram. Last 50 years. So individually they have to have their own knowledge to progress. We can say Krishna said Varnashram, but Mahaprabhu also said it's it is
Material,
irrelevant,
external.
irrelevant, external in this. But Prabhupada said to establish. It is not established in Kali Yuga. There is no Varnashram. All are Sudras. So we have to by our intellect we have to become a Brahmana and whatever Kshatriya, Vaishya, what we can become. But there is no institute right now where you can have a varnashram where a brahmana is leading and others are following him and progressing. That is not there. So how do others progress? So they will have to use their own intellect provided by Krishna to understand the shastra and progress till you have a perfect Devi Varnashram system established. Otherwise, so many people, they go out work and they get lost in the work because there is no Varnashram. So Krishna said, yes, Varnashram, yes. But where is the Varnashram here?
I don't know why we are going in the social varnashram. We are talking about one single person, one single soul in a makeup of a body which is not designed to do brahmana work. That brain, intellectual brain power, no substance is not given in this particular instance of this
No,
body.
to no one in Kali Yuga, no one has that power. Everyone is Sudra in Kali Yuga.
No,
By
Prabhu.
birth, everyone is Sudra.
Yeah, by qualities. Yes,
Yeah, so everyone is
uh,
Sudra. So everyone has to acquire that quality.
yes,
And
Christoph.
even anyone can acquire that quality, no? That's what
No,
I'm saying. Anyone can acquire Brahmanical quality because everyone is Sudra.
Christoph Prabhu.
So I think what Nima Prabhu is referring to is like the constitution, right? Everyone has a different setup, right? You might have a really strong body. You might be a really intelligent person. This is also just your configuration by birth, and this is always one of the big discussions, right, in the movement. But practically speaking, this is also a Varna, right? So if you are born with a really strong body because your whole lineage was already, your father was already strong, and you have a very light mentality. I mean, you are a born Kshatriya, so maybe you're not trained in that regard, and you don't get any ethical training and whatever values and anything. You still by birth you basically, and by your constitution, you are Kshatriya. Similar than with other Varnas. And sure, you can develop, right? So even if you're really dumb and born in a very precarious situation, socially, that doesn't mean that you have to remain a Shudra. You can develop and become a Brahmin. That's open for everyone. But we just practically we still see that Varnas are existing. Of course, we say everyone is a Shudra because we don't follow the Varnashram system nowhere in the world, basically, or only in distorted ways. And that's why everyone basically is a Shudra, right? But we still see someone starts speaking with 2 years and plays, piano with 3. You have Mozart, people like this. So you cannot say that. I mean, at the same time, he's cursing and drinking and womanizing, whatever. So that's all. So still, you can't say, okay, he's just the same person. He's a who do some regular Shudra stuff, right? So there's differences for sure, right? Still in this day and age. So, but we are all trained only as Shudras. That's the problem. So the whole society we are only trained as Shudras, and that's what the system owners want to have, right? Only Shudras, basically. But yeah, so it's still there. So I know this is a big discussion always, you know. But yeah, so the constitutions, the single constitutions are still available, and you are born with a certain set, you know, according to your karma. It's still true in every age, you know.
Vashish Prabhu, yeah, you want to say something?
Yes, Prabhu. No, initially what we were talking, when initially we were talking about the two types of few devotees, about the Parishad and the Sadhaka. We were saying that the topic came about why people what I was saying was the devotees who give lectures in ISKCON, okay, they read, okay, they of course they have read, they are reading while giving their lectures, the senior devotees, while those who give lectures, they misinterpret it, right? And all the other devotees who are Sankirtan leaders, book distributors, and all, who apparently they are the ones who are supposed to be reading Prabhupada's books. And these people, just when what I was saying, but it seems very hard for them to understand these simple things, right? The basic, like you were saying, like some basic understanding that we should be having, right? But unfortunately, we don't have the right basic understanding. It's distorted. They have a distorted understanding, right? So, and when Babu came and when he was saying that, and he also raised a very important issue, it doesn't matter uh, whether one is reading a lot, like hours and hours, because I know personally some senior mainstream devotees who reads for hours and hours, right? But unfortunately, I don't know if deliberately they do that, or I don't know, or they have. The most important thing is their sincerity of purpose. If they have some vested interest, then it's gone, right? So the sincerity of purpose is very important. And while you were discussing, and this also struck that we should say that we all very fortunate, uh, in the sense we've got some seniors who got the right basic understanding, and they have transmitted it to us. Like you were saying about Vishnu Chan Swami and Jayananda Prabhu, they were not studying, reading Prabhupada's books a lot, but they may have read few books, or they may have heard Prabhupada or other devotees who are reading in their times. I'm sure they'll be they were devotees who have been reading a lot, so they'll be discussing, sharing their knowledge and all realization, attending Bhagavatam classes, morning lectures and evening classes. So by that they have assimilated the knowledge rightly. So their Krishna consciousness is strong, and it all depends upon the trainers. The trainers are very important, actually, very very important. We may not be reading daily, but maybe I know people that even though they few times a week they'll be listening or reading Prabhupada's books, or because they have got the right training, they can sustain and they are doing progress, excellent progress. Mhm.
Can I read another verse just to bring into this discussion? This is from 14th Bhagavad Gita, 14th chapter, 6th verse. Tatra sattvam nirmal nirmalatvat prakashakam anamayam sukha sangena badnati jnana sangena chanaga. Says, O sinless one, the mode of goodness being purer than the others is illuminating, and it frees one from all sinful reactions. Those situated in that mode of more develop knowledge, but they become conditioned by the concept of happiness. But the living entities conditioned by material nature are of various types. One is happy, another is very active, and another is helpless. All these types of psychological manifestations are causes of the entity's conditioned status in nature. How they are differently conditioned is explained in this section of Bhagavad Gita. The Bhagavad Gita, the mode of goodness is first considered. The effect of developing the mode of goodness in the material world is that one becomes wiser than those otherwise conditioned. A man in the mode of goodness is not so much affected by material miseries, and he has a sense of advancement in material knowledge. The representative type is the Brahmana, who is supposed to be situated in the mode of goodness. This sense of happiness is due to understanding that in the mode of goodness, one is more or less free from sinful reactions. Actually, in the Vedic literature, it is said that the mode of goodness means greater knowledge and a greater sense of happiness. The difficulty here is that when a living entity is situated in the mode of goodness, he becomes conditioned to feel that he is advanced in knowledge and is better than others. In this way, he becomes conditioned. The best examples are the scientists and philosopher. Each is very proud of his knowledge, and because they generally improve their living conditions, they feel a sort of material happiness. This sense of advanced happiness in conditioned life makes them bound by the mode of goodness of material nature. As such, they are attracted towards working in the mode of goodness, and as long as they have an attraction for working in that way, they have to take some type of body in the modes of nature. Thus, there is no likelihood of liberation or of being transferred to the spiritual world. Repeatedly, one may become a philosopher, a scientist, or a poet, and repeatedly become entangled in the same disadvantages of birth and death. But due to the illusion of the material energy, one thinks that that sort of life is pleasant. This is another danger, no? That devotees who have been given a psychological neural, what is this, physical nature to like capacity, the intellectual power of a scientist, philosopher, and like a Brahmana teacher is already there. It's easy for them to read and understand the knowledge, and then it is easy for them to, what is this, they're better than others, to start thinking one is better than others because of it, and then we see that so much happen. So that's, and the corresponding is the 10-10, which is Krishna saying in 10-10 and 10-11, Tesham Sadata, to those who are constantly devoted and worship me with love, I give the understanding which they can come to me. So here, a person may have a bona fide spiritual master and may be attracted to a spiritual organization, but still
attached
or attached to a spiritual organization, but still, if he's not intelligent enough to make progress, then Krishna from within gives him instructions so that he may ultimately come to him without difficulty. The qualification is that a person always engage himself in Krishna consciousness and with love and devotion render all kinds of services. He should perform some sort of work for Krishna, and that work should be with love, which means in this our stage, sadhana bhakti is under the instruction of a person who has love. If a devotee is intelligent enough, he will make progress on the path of self-realization. If one is sincere and devoted to the active devotion service, the Lord gives him the chance to make progress and ultimately attain to him. And the next verse is more clearly, Srila Prabhupada is saying, our compassion for them, I dwelling in their hearts, destroy with the shining lamp of knowledge the darkness born of ignorance. So here he says, sometimes philosophers criticize the devotees because they think that most of the devotees are in the darkness of ignorance and are philosophically naive sentimentalists. This is the same 14.6 Bhagavad Gita. Actually, that is not the fact. There are very, very learned scholars who have put forward the philosophy of devotion. But even if a devotee does not take advantage of their literatures or of his spiritual master, If he is sincere in his devotional service, he is helped by Krishna himself within his heart. So the sincere devotee engaged in Krishna consciousness cannot be without knowledge. The only qualification is that one carry out devotional service in full Krishna consciousness. And this one time, I have to take the name because it was a big thing earlier. There is one devotee called, maybe Krishna took away my remembrance of him. The devotee wrote so many books, philosopher, talking about how we need to discriminate from so many scriptures, from Acharya scriptures he was bringing. And I was like a young devotee, but I was reading this purport and I asked him this thing. He got so upset with me because here exactly Srila Prabhupada says the modern philosophers think that without discriminating, one cannot have pure knowledge. And exactly what he was saying. So I asked him, what do you think? Why is Srila Prabhupada saying like this? Oh my God, he was so upset at me. For them, this answer is given by the Supreme Lord. Those who are engaged in pure devotional service, even though they be without sufficient education and even without sufficient knowledge of the Vedic principles, are still held by the Supreme God, as stated in these words. Yes, Prabhu? Ashish Prabhu? Vashish Prabhu? Want to say? Gauranga Prabhu, what you
Yeah,
post?
I'm sorry, it was muted.
Sure. Please carry on.
Who, Gaura Sundar Prabhu or
No,
myself?
you, Ashish Prabhu. Yeah.
Yeah, it was muted. Sorry, Prabhu. Actually,
Sure.
the two verses that you just quoted, 10:10 and 10:11, the last paragraph of the 10:10 is very, very important. And even the the next one also, what you have highlighted, like see, even though I've read about it, but the way you are discussing it, like the last sentence in the 10:11 verse, can you explain it a bit more? Like, can you show that verse again, Prabhu?
10:11, last.
10:11. About discrimination, something like about discrimination. One
One
thing, but
philosopher is saying that without discriminating, this discrimination between the modes of material nature, who is where, the discriminating between the services which to be performed or
can you
performed.
put that verse on screen, Prabhu?
Oh, this is not. Oh my God, I was not sharing that verse. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The modern
No,
philosopher.
you were sharing before, but then
Okay.
you stopped sharing.
Yeah.
Modern philosophers think that without discriminating, one cannot have pure knowledge. This is even Vaishnava philosophers thinks the same.
Okay, wait.
Wait, can
Was
we
it-
just be clear on what this sentence means? Because there's a negative there. Modern philosophers think
Philosophers.
that without discriminating, so that means don't discriminate. One cannot, it's a double negative, cannot have pure knowledge. That means
What does that mean, actually?
modern philosophers think that you have to discriminate to have pure knowledge. Is that correct?
Exactly.
And
So
Prabhupada is saying that no, you don't have to have discrimination to have pure knowledge because Krishna can reveal it within your heart, correct?
yeah, there is this whole thing about this is a very big point, this discriminating.
Yes.
This is a philosophical point. There's
Mhm.
in the Shastras. Now, in the Nyaya Shastra and other, I'm not so, I can brush up at that time, 25 years back, I was really into it, trying to understand because this devotee was really like propagating it far and wide and everything. So, but it is something like, they, Gyanis, the way they go, the Gyan Yoga, no? The process is that you go into trying to discriminate between what is matter and what is spiritual, what is illusion and what is permanent. So they go neti neti neti. This is not this. This is not the spiritual substance. This is not. So that is they every situation they try to demarcate one by one, like each thing. There are 24 material elements. So they layer by layer they go. That this what you are saying is actually this element. So and it is not you. It is not spiritual. Then they go another layer. See, this is the buddhi. This is not spiritual. Neti. It is not you. Like that the process of Gyan Yoga is that this to by intellectually trying to remove differentiating between spiritual and matter with using very specific verses and very specific concepts and elements and indriya, everything they differentiate then and using that intelligence and see the light. It's a very rigorous and very long process. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, no, 12 point, those verses where Arjuna asks him that process of this process and the bhakti yoga, what is the difference? And he says they will also reach, but it's a very arduous process, long process.
Right. So, I mean, the discriminating is basically the main purpose. That's basically the intellect, right? So the intellect discriminates between certain things.
Yeah.
But at the end, the intellect is also material. So at the end, they have to also basically understand, okay, now we discriminate between everything. Now actually they have to leave this platform, right? And this is then the hard part because they're so accustomed to that, right? So whereas in the devotional service, we don't deny the intellect, right? But we also see, as we just saw, there's some danger with it, So a Brahman-minded person or a person with high capacity or high intellectual capacity, the danger is that they become proud,
Yeah.
right? And so then in the devotional service, it's not actually needed. It's good, right? So it's basically, I mean, we really understand it. It's a tool. Intellect is a tool. If we use it correctly, if we have access to it, if we use it correctly in devotional service, fine. If we don't have access to it, it's not necessary that we definitely need to develop, more intellectual capacity. We can, it's neither right nor wrong, right? So if you have the inclination towards it somehow, or you're blessed somehow, Goranda Sundar Prabhu brought some nice quotes here as well in the chat,
Yeah.
Of course, Krishna can give us some mercy, and someone who was born dumb, has no access to intellectual power whatsoever, somehow can become really eloquent and also then creates a high capacity of an intellect, right? But then it's this mercy comes because they already progress on the devotional path, right? So Krishna sees, okay, there is not this high danger with if they get intellectual potency. This is basically, I think, that's also where the current world, this is basically also Kali Yuga, everything is intellectualized. So meaning also there's no the people lost contact with with nature and with God, so to say. That's the main thing. Everything has to be discriminated, right? And I mean that's the basis of the Kali Yuga as well. So actually, we are high intellectual yoga in that sense as well, right? As anything, intellect is good. Anything you see it in school, right? Any lesson or every class that is mathematics, physics, everything that is like an intellectual where you need some intellectual capacity, that is like, okay, that's the best. If it's art, if it's sports, if it's all the other things, that's neglected basically. If you're good in sports, who cares, right? Unless maybe you're in USA and get access to to the football league or something. But in general, it's like it's not really important, right? So everything is focused on the intellectual on intellect only, and that's, I think, a main problem. And here we see a good equilibrium, right? So the devotional service, it's actually not needed, as we see, right? So we all know the gopis are the greatest devotees, and of course, they don't have, or of course they have, but right, displayed or in the Leela, they're not appear as like, oh, they're Brahmins and they have high intellectual capacity. No, they're just, simple farm girls. Okay.
Balaram Prabhu, you want to say something?
Yeah, and actually, I was thinking to say something, and I think it's the next paragraph Prabhupada will talk more about, so we can read that. But if we take Arjuna as our example, and even Parikshit Maharaj in the example of who was speaking in the Bhagavatam?
Shukdev Goswami.
Shukdev Goswami speaking to the king. Right? Let's take Arjuna as the first example. Arjuna wasn't a Brahmana and wasn't an academic, and yet he proposed and he was fighting with his intellect with Krishna to avoid doing what he felt would not make him happy. Okay, let me just surrender, let them have everything. I'm going to the forest and become a Brahmana, become a yogi, a jnani. And Krishna started to laugh. He said, you can't do that even though you want, because it's not your present nature. That's important. Your present nature is a warrior, a fighter, a kshatriya. So I want you to use your present nature to do action for me, which is this war, fight, kill. And with that, you get the highest result, which is pleasing me, and I'll take you back to Godhead. So Arjuna may have been, okay, let me go to the forest and read some books, give me some books, and let me do meditation. And Krishna is kind of laughing, well, but you're a kshatriya. That's your present nature. So I want you to just use your nature in my service to please me as I instruct you right now. And we see that Srila Prabhupada so much did the same. In the early days, we can almost say there were hardly any books. And of course, he pushed for books, but he tried to engage people in devotional service like Krishna with Arjuna. And by that, it was pleasing Krishna. And by that, they got high realizations and deeper attraction for bhakti. And Srimad Bhagavatam also, we find King Parikshit Maharaj, he just heard and became self-realized, right? So we can see that hearing and reading is the same thing. Arjuna heard from Krishna and came to the point of full surrender. And this is the point, I think, that it's the reading and the knowledge is meant to bring those who are intellect will use knowledge. Those who are jnanis may use meditation to come to the point of surrender. Those who are karma yogis and need activities, need action to do, they will clean, they will do this, so much activity. They will use that tool primarily, not only, but primarily as the tool to bring them to full surrender. But the main point is to come to the point where you surrender and you love and serve Krishna with love and devotion. That's the point. So,
Vashish Prabhu?
Let Gauranga Sundar Prabhu speak first. So on.
if we could just read this paragraph, if you don't mind.
I put it up there so anybody can read while you were talking.
I can read it.
Sure, of course.
The Lord tells Arjuna that basically there is no possibility of understanding the supreme truth, the absolute truth, the supreme personality of Godhead, simply by speculating. For the supreme truth is so great that it is not possible to understand him or to achieve him simply by making a mental, intellectual effort. Man can go on speculating for intellectual was, I added that. Not in the book, can go on speculating for several millions of years. And if he is not devoted, if he is not a lover of the supreme truth, he will never understand Krishna or the supreme truth. Only by devotional service is the supreme truth, Krishna, pleased, and by his inconceivable energy, he can reveal himself to the heart of the pure devotee. The pure devotee always has Krishna within his heart. Therefore, he is just like the sun that dissipates the darkness of ignorance. This is the special mercy rendered to the pure devotee by Krishna.
Got understand that, Prabhu?
Yeah. Balaram Prabhu made this point that Arjun wanted to retire and Krishna stopped him, but we have to understand also that the highest philosophy, Bhagavad Gita, and the highest philosophy, Srimad Bhagavatam, was not spoken to a Brahmana by Krishna, but to a Kshatriya.
Mhm.
So by quality, the Kshatriya doesn't have the, he couldn't, one can say, this philosophy is for the Brahmana. But because Krishna is speaking, he can make even a Kshatriya because he's a devotee. So that's why I quoted these two shlokas, that a Vaishnava is already a Brahmana. So the Vaishnava, if you're a Vaishnava, you already have that intellect in you. You may apply it, not apply it, that's up to you. But you have the capacity to understand by Krishna's mercy, by Guru's mercy. And if a person wants, because he being a Vaishnava, he can understand philosophy if he wants. Even in the most tiring situation of a battlefield. Arjun could understand the philosophy. A Parikshit Maharaj is going to die in 7 days. I mean, a person is going to die in 7 days. What is his intellect? He'll be totally, broken up. But in that capacity, or in that state also, he understood the Srimad Bhagavatam in 7 days. So because he was already a Vaishnava. So Vaishnava has the capacity in him to rise to the platform of Brahmana if he wants and understand the highest philosophy if he wants to apply it. That is what my point is.
So, okay, let's discuss this thing. 2 or 3 things which you have made very important points. Now, first of all, when we take the example of Arjuna and Parikshit, we are not talking about from the point of view right now of they were pure devotees, Krishna was using them and all these things. We're just talking about their current stage in life. So, whatever example Krishna is trying to show. So, both of them were Rajarshis. These are different. Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is saying, what is this? Evam parampara praptam imam rajarshayo vidu. Those are Rajarshis, Arjuna, Parikshit Maharaj, on that category. There are so many Kshatriyas.
Yudhishthir is, Rajashri. Arjun where?
It's the same category, no? They went to the same
Yeah,
level.
but he was more inclined to a Kshatriya. Yudhishthir was into dharma, to understand dharma, more Brahmanical. And he was Raja. Arjun was a Kshatriya only. He had, where you find him, understanding philosophy and
Evam
everywhere.
parampara praptam imam rajarshayo vidu sa kalena mata yogo nashta parantapa. Now Krishna is saying to Arjuna, I have spoken this to Rajarshis, now I'm speaking to you. He is
Yeah,
considering same level as a Rajarshi, Prabhu. You can see all over the instructions given to them, the way they were being treated by Krishna was all as Rajarshis. The way our Bhishma Pitama spoke to Yudhishthir Maharaj, and
but
all the
yeah,
brothers were there. They were all being instructed like that. No, they went to
yeah,
the same schools, same teacher, everything. They're all on
true.
the category. So my point is that they're. I mean,
But then that time, it was a whole situation was like that only. The Gurukul system was there, prevalent, where the training was given like that. Where the right now, currently, our training is Vaishnava training only, which
I,
can raise us to that platform. That's what I'm
I'm
saying.
coming to that platform. I'm coming to that question. First is see, Brahmana also has different levels. Kshatriya also has different category. Even in Brahmanical, there are many categories. Like we know, there was this Brahmana who could not read in South India. The Lord Chaitanya came and he embraced him because he was so faithful to the Guru's instruction. He could not. He was reading Bhagavad Gita upside down. He didn't even know how to read. There are many poor Brahmanas, many Brahmanas who cannot. I mean, there are different kinds of Brahmanas. No, everyone is not of the same category. There are many subcategories. Being in Rajasthan, there are Kshatriyas or so many kind of subcastes are there. No, in the Kshatriya Vaishya community, there are so many subcastes. You can't put all like one blanket instruction that Brahmanas are intellectual into apply it like a broad stroke only. And then when you go down, there are so many subcastes, jati dharma and kula dharmas are there. Of course, jati dharma is from those subcastes of from Kshatriya and Vaishyas and everybody, Brahmanas included. So Kshatriyas also, Rajarshis are of that level which we're talking about, Arjuna and Parikshit Maharaj. But other Kshatriyas, there are so many normal work, soldiers. What do they know? They don't go through this thing, no? The intellectual capacity to. That's fact of life. Now, your point about when you are saying about Vaishnava becomes a Brahmana. Very true, because it is written many, many times. And when Srila Prabhupada came, he said that he is trying to pick up people who can become Brahmanas. Now, Brahmana means by guna and karma. See, guna means in mode of goodness, and karma means doing the activities of a Brahmana, which is patan, yagya, yagyartha, dan, pratigrina. Now, even then, when we add Devi Varnasrama, the design of that was that one could raise oneself to qualities of a Brahmana. We are not talking of somebody who has become a pure devotee, Pangu Langai Tegring. That verse is applicable to someone who has become transcendental. They are almost becoming transcendental, where Krishna starts empowering one giving his power, because of which he can do anything. That is a different altogether category. Doesn't matter whether it was a Brahmana, Vaishnava, whatever. Krishna can give to anybody. Like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was empowering devotees like just by glancing, and then they were going and making all their villagers pure devotees. So that verse is meaning that like Krishna can do anything to anyone. But when you're talking about Brahmana being by initiation, somebody turns into a Brahmana, does not mean that the intellectual capacity of a person, like the whole the karma, thing will itself change. That's why Srila Prabhupada talks about when in 1974 or 76, I think 76, morning walk, they're talking about the Varnasrama college, and then he's talking about they're talking, but we are second initiation, they are Brahmanas, no? Devotees. If they are Brahmanas, then why they are falling down? So it's like guna also has to develop and become steady, and then the intellectual capacity is different. Like that's why the Devi Varnasrama is
Prabhupada is backing on the Vaishnava qualities of them to carry forward the Brahminical, Prabhupada gave that. Otherwise, no one was qualified Brahmana by Guna and Karma, Westerners. Prabhupada gave them Brahman Diksha. Prabhupada was backing on the Vaishnava quality in them, which will carry forward their Brahminical thing, and not the other way around. So that is what, and that was the risk Prabhupada took, because of preaching everything. So he took that thing. So that is what I'm saying, if Prabhupada also backing on that, okay, because they are Vaishnavas, they will get the intellect gradually by chanting everything. They understand Shastra, they are able to preach everything and not fall down. So that is what Prabhupada tried, was trying.
two things. When
Obviously, the
intellect, how much intellect? See, one intellect is from the Buddhi Yoga to understand the concepts nicely, know who is Krishna, who is God, everything, be able to preach it. Then there is a brain power intellect also to go into details of the philosophy. That patan, that is a Brahminical, there is one intellect is given to there, it requires some more brain power, no? We can see in normal our concern also some very, very nice devotees, really nice devotees, humble, simple, everybody. And when you try, they would be able to say exactly the right thing, but don't know the details of the philosophy, can't go in the details. It's
yes,
imagine.
that is good enough, no? At the basic philosophy they know.
But
that is
how
good enough.
many times they can't read,
Ev-
no?
ev-
They don't
everyone
read so
cannot,
much.
everyone can, yeah, I agree. Everyone cannot go into the pattern and details, because even that is as such, so many branches are there in that, Nyan and everything are there. If you don't want to go that into that, everyone can't go. But the basic philosophy, which can, keep them and which develops their Vaishnava qualities, simultaneously their Brahmanic qualities, that everyone can have.
Sure, definitely.
Yeah.
That has
Yeah.
to, by Vaishnava, then that quality should come automatically. Just the intellectual capacity may change. So that reading capacity, that is what I have experienced, that reading capacity to really sit down and read and intellectually. I used to think, because reading and everything, oh, I can understand everything. Then I met this um, Harikatha Prabhu. He could read 8 hours. 8 hours and kept on reading and he wouldn't stop like that. Oh my God. Then I realized there are meaning. That is a kind of occupation is possible where one reads and studies for 8, 10 hours, 15 hours also one can keep doing it. It's not like, so there are different levels of this also. And some people just by 1 hour of reading or maybe just 1 hour of hearing Srila Prabhupada, half an hour and serving, they get the same essence of knowledge from both sides. Anyway, what I have experienced is this thing that people with knowledge, the intellectual knowledge rather than the realized knowledge, the intellectual knowledge capacity, one tends to become proud of it. Just like Krishna has designed the Maya like that. Just like he says in 14 chapter 6th verse, because one is thinking, I am better than others. And that we see so much happening, Prabhu, so much. So most people, what my understanding is that most people will not have the intellectual capacity even though they become devotees unless they are really high class devotees. Then they will have anything Krishna wants them to serve like that, he will give them that ability. If he wants to serve them in Shudra capacity, they will give them it's just like any instantly he gives. But otherwise, normally, that's why Devi Varnasrama is to be applied because even among the devotees, because of different levels of intellectual capacity and physical prowess and other abilities, the everyone is organized like that then, and not higher or lower or thinking this person cannot read, so he should read, otherwise he cannot. But anyway, you made very nice point which I want to cover later about how will all these issues one can overcome and all these things. But that is a very important point. But let's hear from others now. Like, you want to reply before Vashish Prabhu says something?
Gauranga Prabhu, we're asking you, do you want to reply to this?
Okay, maybe suddenly busy. Vashish Prabhu?
Yes, true. Yeah. And first, I would I would like to thank Gauranga Sundar Prabhu for sharing this beautiful quote from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya 24:330. Actually, all the things about the Guru which Prabhupada always say that everyone becomes Guru, we need millions of Guru. Prabhupada was pointing to that actually, which is given in the Chaitanya Charitamrita verse, the purport, isn't it? The one which Gauranga Sundar Prabhu just shared. Like everyone is supposed to preach to become a spiritual master. Everyone, all the ISKCON disciples, followers, they are supposed to become to that. Like all devotees are supposed to preach. This is that particular quote, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, where Prabhupada says, every one of you become guru and all in his lectures and all. So this is a verse, this is a quote. And regarding like 10.11, where it is mentioned about the philosophers, which I told you, the highlighted thing. modern philosophers. Actually, this refers to Gyanis.
Yeah.
Those who are interested in Gyan Yoga, right? No such affinity or inclination towards Bhakti Yoga. It applies to them. Or even amongst the so-called Bhakti Yogis, the scholars one are not really. They are Gyan Bhakti Visha, something like that it is called. But these modern philosophers think, yeah, this one it applies to the Gyanis actually, not to, because later afterwards, which Balaram Prabhu mentioned, Krishna is known only through bhakti. And the example which you rightly pointed out, our Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the South Indian Brahmana, but was, even though he was not educated, but the knowledge was revealed to him. And regarding that 10.10 verse now, 10.10 verse, the purport about Krishna. Krishna reveals the heart, the lost power. 10.10. Where is it? A person may have a bona fide spiritual master and may be attached to a spiritual organization, for example, Islam. But still, if he's not intelligent enough to make progress, right? For example, one is so dull-headed, he can't accept Prabhupada as a Diksha Guru, although he's giving lectures, big lectures on Chaitanya Charitamrita or whatever. When Krishna from within gives him instruction, it's not full, Prabhu. I can't read it full. Wait, yeah. Then Krishna from within gives him instructions so that he may ultimately come to him without difficulty. But the qualification is that the person always engage himself in Krishna consciousness and with love and devotion when there are all kinds of services. He should perform some sort of work for Krishna, and that work should be with love. The devotee is intelligent enough, he will make progress on that path of self-realization. If one is sincere and devoted to the activities of devotional service, the Lord gives him the chance to make progress and ultimately attain to him. This purport, and when you try to relate it with the other one from 10.11, where Prabhupada in the purport says that Krishna gives the intelligence. So how he gives that intelligence, right? Suppose I'm so puffed up, but I don't listen to my other fellow God brothers, like other Prabhupada followers, right? Students of Prabhupada. I may develop some arrogance or some due to some ego. I develop some false ego, puffed up, but I don't listen to them. So Krishna, by chanting, and doing devotional service, my heart will be cleansed. That Chaitanya Pranam comes, and when Krishna, I think on WhatsApp, I think I've shared some this one, a quote of Prabhupada, but exact reference I don't know where it is. It must be in the database, right? About how exactly Krishna gives intelligence, how the devotee, the ignorance is dispelled, kind of. Either we hear from other devotees, or we read from Prabhupada's books, or we hear from other devotees, read from Prabhupada books. Like that, I don't find any other method like how we can gain knowledge from a level of ignorance, like of no knowledge to some knowledge. It is only through what? Through hearing from Prabhupada or his devotees, his disciples, or reading. Yeah. So that's what.
Gauranga Sundar Prabhu.
I have to say.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah.
So the point which you made and Vishnu Prabhu also made, Gyan makes us puffed up. So very important for Gyan to become Vigyan, practical knowledge and realization, and that seva and sadhana, sadhusang comes there, It's like you eat too much. If your pachan shakti is not good, you'll vomit out everything.
Yeah.
So if you get too much knowledge and if you don't know how to digest it, And digestion comes from seva, sadhana, sadhu sangha. If you're doing that, then your gyan becomes vigyan, realization. Otherwise, you become puffed up and there's a source of always falling down. So this balance has to be very much there, that you take knowledge and also at the same time proportionately you engage in seva, sadhana and sadhu sangha. And when this perfect balance is there, then the progress is, then you can make progress and realize also. So that is my point here.
Very nice. Yeah. The one point which you made almost at the beginning, I want to take that up because to finish off the whole thing on the from different angles we are discussing this point. What happens when, like you were mentioning, so many issues, we all go through, and but the intellect keeps one engaged, like focused. No, no, this is the right thing. This is the only way to go. Whatever it is, I have to go in the direction. There is no other option. And then the second thing is also so many obstacles can come in. So many issues, so many obstacles. Philosophically, somebody is saying, no, do like this, do like that, direction of preaching, guiding devotees, so many things. Then what? Without knowledge, how do you do it? Meaning, Krishna can give from the heart, but are we at that, like, how do we even get to that level many times? See, so for that, the knowledge it becomes
And
very
are we even sure it's Krishna speaking or a mind speaking?
exactly. So that is exactly why a external guru is required. This is exactly what otherwise then here he says, even if or of his spiritual if a devotee does not take advantage of their literature of his spiritual master, if he is sincere in his devotion service, he is helped by Krishna within his heart. But then that sincerity, there will be some devotees who are really sincere. They don't need a spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada or anybody. But this is a very esoteric concept because in Kali Yuga it's very difficult, to find someone who is sincere independently of his spiritual master and everybody. There may be some people, so we cannot deny this. But generally, what we have been told, just what we have been reading, 147, was that the instructor, spiritual master, comes in two forms. One is from the heart and another is external, from Bhagavad Gita and from the external spiritual master. See? So what happens if we don't take advantage of which his advantage, meaning in his books and his teachings, it is there. What happens then if we can't
Can
intellectually?
you, Hare Krishna, can you please share what Prabhu, sorry to interrupt. Can you please share where you have highlighted if someone doesn't take advantage of the Vedic literatures? It's not here. If someone doesn't take advantage, yeah. This is from 1011. Yeah, 1011. There are very, very learned scholars who have put forward the philosophy of devotion, but even if a devotee doesn't take advantage of the literatures or of his spiritual master, if he is sincere in his devotional service, he is helped by Krishna himself within his heart. Right? Okay, suppose someone is not reading. Let's try to analyze this one. Suppose someone is not reading, is not taking the benefit of the Vedic literature like Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavatam or Chaitanya Charitamrita. He's not reading. But if he is sincere in his devotional service, he's helped by Krishna himself within his heart. How? So the sincere devotee engaged in Krishna consciousness cannot be without knowledge. So then an example of this can be someone, the external, like a sadhu, like a disciple of Prabhupada, will enlighten him. If he's not reading, then another devotee will try to make him reason and make him reason, will enlighten him.
Prabhuji, sorry, that's not what's saying here. Directly, it's saying that Krishna himself within his heart. That's important. You shouldn't try to delete that. And we can see that Prabhupada actually very easily encouraged this. I heard him and saw him many times. Devotees will say to Prabhupada, Prabhupada, but how am I to do it? I've never done this before. I don't know how to do it. Are you crazy? And such a big thing. And Prabhupada said, just go and depend on Krishna. Krishna will help. Krishna will help. Oh, so many times. He sent these free couples, not sannyasis, right? Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj sent sannyasis to London. Prabhupada sent new bhaktas, malechas, maybe still thinking about drugs, sex, and rock and roll, and sent them to London. And they were so dedicated to Prabhupada, and Prabhupada was, let's say, empowering them, that you just go, don't worry about anything. Just depend on Krishna, depend on Krishna, depend on Krishna. He'll tell you, he'll instruct you from the heart. So Prabhupada promoted this. It's not that we should be afraid, oh my God, this is very high level, or from beginning, Prabhupada promoted this. And actually, the more you have this and devotees get faith in this and they apply it, they get some big realization. They see, oh my God, look, Krishna did that, Krishna did this, Krishna did, and that gives them more faith. And then they go even further and do, let's say, more, let's call it risky stuff or whatever. And then they just build their faith on that. And then they it just increases,
Yes.
increases. So it's not something that Prabhupada shied away from, and we shouldn't shy away from it. Yeah, go, do it. Depend on Krishna, depend on Prabhupada. And see, you'll see Krishna and Prabhupada reciprocate with you within the heart. And externally also, you make arrangements. Of course,
Can I
it
add
doesn't,
something?
doing that doesn't mean don't read. Okay, we should do that simultaneously as much as we can, as much as our nature allows. Read more, hear more, talk more. Yeah, sorry, please, Vashish Prabhu.
Yeah, what you said is right, Prabhu. What I'm trying to say, there's no contradiction in whatever you're saying, right? And also what I'm trying to say, like when you say Krishna, Krishna means many things actually. I'm not trying to be impersonal here, but Krishna means his devotees, the Guru, Shastra, all his paraphernalias, right? And Krishna may be sending someone that's for example, what you took, like suppose someone's getting instruction to go somewhere to preach in a strange foreign land, like
Look at the
someone.
words. Look at the words here. You got to
Yeah.
accept this. Krishna
Yeah.
himself. That's important. Okay, we know the
Yes.
other stuff, but this is Krishna himself.
Yeah.
Very
But
clear.
within his heart, for instance, okay, suppose oh, it's a bit I know. Suppose someone you can say, okay, just I don't know, like it's becoming difficult to explain. Maybe Nimai Manifu can try to explain, but like there's no contradiction actually. Like within his heart, within one's heart, Krishna will try to dispel what our illusion, our weakness of heart, anything. He will try to instill within us common sense, good sense, intelligence, everything in that way. And there are many kinds of ways, like others will like and as instruments to help, not to help, to engage in Prabhupada's or Krishna's mission. Like what?
So here he's saying like this, the 147 verse that we are reading today. So one should know the instructing spiritual master to be the personality of Godhead. Lord Krishna manifests himself as the super soul and as the greatest devotee of the Lord. States that the instructing spiritual master is the bona fide representative of Sri Krishna. Sri Krishna himself teaches us as the instructing spiritual master from within and without. From within, he teaches as Paramatma, our constant companion, and from without, he teaches from the Bhagavad Gita as the instructing spiritual master. There are two kinds of instructing spiritual masters. One is the liberated person fully absorbed in meditation and devotional service, and the other is he who invokes the disciple's spiritual consciousness by means of relevant instructions.
Sorry, can we just go back to what we just read previously? Nimai Pandit Prabhu is okay. I just want to show. You see, Vashish Prabhu, is this the verse? This one that says, although he may be attached to a. Can we go to that one? Although he may be attached to a spiritual organization. Thank you very much. Sorry for making you work like that.
Important reasons.
Yeah, here. Okay, so Vashish Prabhu, look, a person may have a bona fide spiritual master. That is the external representation of Krishna. One. He may be attached to a spiritual organization, sadhu sangha. That's that. But still, if he's not intelligent enough to make progress, then Krishna, he's already talked about guru outside, he's talked about sadhu sangha outside, the outside elements are done. Then Krishna from within gives him instructions so that he may ultimately come to him without difficulty. The qualification is that a person engages, okay, you should perform well.
And that is the point, no? How many
Yeah.
people have that qualification? So generally,
So can't that qualification be, like, someone can say, oh, I'm preaching so well, Krishna inspired me to become guru. What will
yeah,
you tell them person?
yeah.
Krishna inspired me. He told me, oh, you are influencing so many people, so you can become their guru. So Krishna is inspiring because there is a voice, right? And that can be Paramatma. You can say it's Paramatma's voice. He wants me to become Diksha Guru now.
Exactly. Okay. So sorry to interrupt. Since you brought out this example, Prabhu, let's put it in a scenario. A person may have a bona fide spiritual master, right? For example, let's take all the senior pre-77 disciples, most, not all, most of them, who are actually leading sannyasis and GBC members of mainstream ISKCON now. A person may have a bona fide spiritual master. That is for a person. Let's take, for example, the leading sannyasis, GBC members in mainstream ISKCON may have a bona fide spiritual master, that is Prabhupada, and maybe attached to a spiritual organization, ISKCON. But still, if he's not intelligent enough to make progress, just like you heard, 700 temples they have made, but still, that's so-called progress, but they could have made 7,000 temples. So because still now there are many devotees in the mainstream who are converting, means they are having, their eyes are opening, they are coming towards they are adopting the Vedic system of initiation. So in that sense, I was saying that how now that is very, very deep, very how Krishna from within helps. That's another very subtle, just like I tried to explain before, and even Nimai Pandit Prabhu also shared that quote. Okay, maybe I should also go through that quote again and again in my free time. Okay, but anyway,
Ashish Prabhu, can I ask you a
it's
question? If
quite
you don't
late
mind?
now. I have to go now.
If I don't
Okay,
mind.
tell me.
Do you
Before
have
I
a
go.
problem? Do you have a problem believing or accepting that Krishna himself can instruct you from within your heart?
No, I don't have any problem. But how he will instruct? What is, that remembrance, forgetfulness, or whatever, remembrance, forgetfulness, or some inspiration, but also is there. Everything is there, and all these things all these things actually, it's always there in the shastras, right? Initially, you may not be so sure about it when something, just like when you first time you hear about Prabhupada is a Diksha Guru, first time you have heard it, or you have just come across the 9th July letter, if you haven't heard from anyone, and now after so many years, when you have heard about it, you have studied about it, your what to say, your mm, your confidence in following that, your determination in following that is not the same. What I'm trying to 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 explain, kind of, not to explain, but to share.
So Balram Prabhu, now the question is, if Krishna, like, definitely Krishna is saying, I give the knowledge. That's the fountainhead of all our being. Now, what if he is able to do that, and that's all is required, then why give all these external spiritual masters, which Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami is talking about? Yes, within and without, and
Because
without.
he's not stingy. Some of us will say, okay, I'm just going to give you $10 to help you. But somebody will give $50 here, $100 here, $100 here, $1 million here. So Krishna, every single tool available to him, he's trying to use to inspire us to listen to him. Every tool. And that includes himself, as stated here very directly. Within the heart as Paramatma, Krishna himself. I mean, I don't know, it seems like Vashish Prabhu is like a little bit hesitant to accept that or believe that, but you know, the Guru is there, the devotee sadhu sangha is there, but Krishna himself, directly himself, also talks to us, can talk to you, does talk to us, and he's there, he's saying it, he'll do it. And many devotees experience it, many devotees tell about their pastime like this, you know. And I almost think, me included, almost every single devotee is having such an experience with Krishna when Krishna instructs or guides or gives faith from inside. It's so subtle, we don't hear it, we don't see it, but it's going
How do you
on.
know, like Gauranga Sundar Prabhu is saying, how do you know it is Krishna and not the mind?
Actually, I just said, you know, if you have a dream and a direct experience, that's something different. But let's just say on a daily basis, it's so subtle, you don't actually feel it's going up. Like you never see yourself growing up, but you grow up, right? If you look 5 years later, you're bigger. So in Krishna consciousness, you can maybe after a year, after 2 years, look back and see it, but you see that as your determination, as your enthusiasm is increasing to serve and love Krishna, you're becoming more attracted. And automatically, of course, by default, material stuff is decreasing, then it's going on.
Why don't we pause here? There is so much more to unravel in this,
Yeah.
because the need of the other external spiritual masters, both liberated soul and non-liberated, but pure devotees under the pure devotee. What is the need? You said it is because Krishna is not stingy, but is that the only reason?
You know, there's one important wherever Prabhupada talks about Guru inside the heart as Krishna, he always talks of the external spiritual master also. So both are, the both sides of the same coin, both go together. So, you cannot discard one and just accept one, When he's talking of Paramatma, Krishna inside, he's also talking of his expansion outside, that is without. So that is very important to
And
understand.
this verse, no, 47th verse, where he talks about that. The next verse, okay, next to next verse is 10:10. Same verse which we were discussing. So what you are saying, Gauranga Sundar Prabhu, no? That he is intertwining those things all the time. Even though Srila
Yeah,
Prabhupada,
if you notice, every time Prabhupada, whenever he talks of the internal, he'll always talk of the external spiritual master in the same sentence or next sentence, like that.
yeah. And there is so much reasoning, and we can bring that out next week, because I thought, instead of bringing up today, I thought let's do it next week, because that is a very important point of the necessity, literal necessity for most of us, like 99.99% of us, for us to confirm what through the Sadhu, Guru, and Shastra, the external gurus, what the internal guru is saying. And that is the basis of all Vedic literature, actually. Why Vedic literature is given, why gurus are there. The whole thing has been designed for this confirmation, this thing. So let's discuss that. No? How is that? How is Krishna working both? This is the essence of these verses, actually. All of these verses are saying this. How Brahma was taught by inside, and then actually another place Srila Prabhupada is saying, maybe later verses, that when one is at the Asakti platform, then one doesn't need the external spiritual masters, and one can accept whatever Krishna is saying from the heart. But before that, one needs to confirm. So whatever Krishna is saying. So anyway, it will come up, all these topics.
Yeah, and Jiva Goswami also speaks about this in his Sandarbha, like you don't need to, at Asakti stage, you can directly connect with the Krishna as a spiritual master.
Mhm. So let's do that, huh? And that's very important, this words. So all these, there are many verses which, yeah, this 25th is still the Brahma verses, 56th he covering truth, and now this one is Chintamani one. The 58th is, this is the one. Since one cannot visually experience the presence of the super soul, he appears before us as a liberated devotee. Such a spiritual master is none other than Krishna himself. It is not possible for a conditioned soul to directly meet Krishna, but if one becomes a sincere devotee and seriously engaged in devotional service, Lord Krishna sends an instructing spiritual master to show him favor and invoke his dormant property. So this is the thing. When Krishna sees that one is sincere but not able to take it, then he sends somebody to guide one. No?
Yeah,
Okay.
and look, like you said, the last sentence. Wait. Just go back. Last sentence of that. And at the same time, the devotee is guided from within by the Chaitya Guru, Krishna.
Yeah.
The Acharyas quote this shloka from Bhagavad Gita, Maya Sakta Mana Partha Yoga Junjan Vadashraya. Maya Asakta, Asakti, Mana Partha. You link yoga. That is the stage where yoga with Krishna is established.
That 7-1,
You
no?
know,
This verse.
yeah. So
Always
that
the
stage,
most number of lectures.
yeah. So that is the place where you can directly connect with Krishna, Asakti stage. And that time, even if you don't consult the external guru, no problem. Krishna, because your link, yoga Junjan Vadashraya, your link with Krishna is established. So that time Krishna directly starts guiding you. That is the stage. Asakti, Maya Sakta, Mana Partha.
Let's do the discussion next week. Huh? The detailed discussion we need to have. Please do come. Gauranga Sundar Prabhu, see, it's so important for you to come and participate and give your inputs. Huh? Okay.
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
One second.
Vanchakalpatruvescha Kripasindhuveva Patitanam Pavane.
Pavanebhyo Vaishnavabhyo Namo.
To the Prabhupada ki.
Jai.
Thank you.